polished glass doors reflected a woman who looked nothing like the person she used to be. Amara stood frozen on the marble floor of Okafor Industries' lobby, her worn shoes squeaking against the pristine surface. Her breath caught in her throat as she looked up at the man descending the grand staircase. Time stopped. The executive in the sharp navy suit, commanding every eye in the room, was Chike, her ex-husband, the man who had abandoned her 7 years ago when she was pregnant and penniless, the same man who now stood as the CEO of the biggest manufacturing company in Lagos. Their eyes met across the crowded lobby. Recognition flashed across his face, followed by something darker. Shock, fear, maybe even shame. But Amara couldn't move. Her hand clutched the wrinkled envelope containing her job application. And her heart hammered so loudly she was sure everyone could hear it. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be happening. She had come here desperate for any position, even a cleaning job, anything to feed her daughter. And now she stood face to face with the ghost of her past. Except this ghost wore $1,000 shoes and held the power to change her life with a single word. Let me take you back to where this all began. To a time when Amara's life was completely different. When love felt real and promises meant something. 7 years earlier, Amara was a young woman full of dreams, living in a small compound in Surulere with her mother and two younger brothers. She worked as a sales girl at a local fabric shop, saving every naira she could for the nursing school she hoped to attend. That's where she met Chike. He would come into the shop always polite, always smiling, claiming he was buying fabric for his sister. On his 5th visit, he finally asked Amara out for suya and Coca-Cola. Chike was different from other men who pursued her. He listened when she talked about her dreams. He didn't mock her ambitions or try to diminish her hopes. He was working as a driver for a wealthy family, he told her, but he was taking night classes in business administration. They both had dreams bigger than their current circumstances. They both believed in working hard and trusting God. Within 6 months, they were inseparable. Within a year, despite her mother's warnings to wait, they got married in a small ceremony at the local registry. The first year of marriage was hard but happy. They rented a single room in Bariga, sharing a kitchen and bathroom with 5 other families. Amara continued working at the fabric shop while Chike drove during the day and studied at night. They ate simply, rice and stew most nights, sometimes just bread and tea, but they had each other. They would lie on their small mattress, planning their future, whispering dreams into the darkness. Chike promised her that one day he would build her a house with a big kitchen. She promised him that when she became a nurse, she would support whatever business he wanted to start. But then things began to change. Chike started coming home later and later. He became secretive about his phone calls, stepping outside whenever it rang. The warmth in his eyes when he looked at Amara began to fade, replaced by distance and irritation. When she discovered she was pregnant, she thought the news would bring them closer together. Instead, it seemed to push Chike further away. The night he left was burned into Amara's memory forever. She was 4 months pregnant, her small belly just beginning to show. Chike came home at midnight, and without even sitting down, he told her he was leaving. No explanation, no apology, just 5 words that shattered her world completely. "I can't do this anymore," he said, his voice flat and emotionless. When she begged him to explain, to tell her what she had done wrong, he simply shook his head. He packed a single bag, walked out the door, and never came back. He changed his phone number. His family claimed they didn't know where he was. He vanished like smoke, leaving Amara pregnant, heartbroken, and drowning in questions that would haunt her for years. Standing in this gleaming lobby 7 years later, those questions came flooding back, but they were mixed with rage, confusion, and something else. Because Chike wasn't just alive and well, he was wildly successful, and she was here, desperate and broken, needing him once again. What would you do if you came face to face with someone who destroyed your life? Drop a comment below and don't forget to hit that subscribe button because this story is about to get even more intense. What happens when Chike realizes who's standing in his lobby? Stay tuned. Chike recovered first. His face transformed into a professional mask, cold and distant, as if he were looking at a complete stranger. He turned to his assistant, a young woman in a crisp white blouse who stood beside him, holding a tablet, and whispered something Amara couldn't hear. The assistant nodded and disappeared down a corridor. Then Chike continued down the stairs, greeting other employees, shaking hands, laughing at someone's joke. He didn't look at Amara again. It was as if she didn't exist. Amara felt her legs trembling. The security guard who had directed her to wait in the lobby approached, asking if she was all right. She nodded, unable to speak, unable to process what was happening. Part of her wanted to run out of the building and never come back. But another part, the part that had survived 7 years of struggle and hardship, the part that had a 7-year-old daughter waiting at home who needed school fees and food, that part kept her feet planted firmly on the marble floor. She had come too far to run now. She had woken up at 4 that morning, bathed with cold water because they couldn't afford to heat it, dressed in her only decent outfit, a faded blue dress she had sewn herself, and traveled 2 hours across Lagos to get here. Her daughter Zainab had hugged her before she left, her small arms tight around Amara's waist, saying, "Mama, I prayed for you. God will give you the job." Amara couldn't go home empty-handed. She wouldn't. 30 minutes passed. Amara sat on a leather chair in the waiting area, watching people come and go. Everyone looked successful, purposeful, like they belonged in this world of glass and steel. She felt like an imposter, a stain on the pristine environment. Her hands were rough from years of washing clothes by hand, cleaning houses, and doing whatever work she could find. Her dress, though clean and pressed, was clearly old and worn. She didn't belong here, and everyone seemed to know it. Finally, a woman approached her. She was older, maybe in her 50s, with kind eyes and gray streaks in her braided hair. She wore a badge that identified her as Chinwe Okonkwo, Human Resources Manager. "Amara Okoli?" she asked gently. Amara stood quickly, too quickly, nearly stumbling. "Yes, Ma, that's me." Chinwe smiled. "Please, follow me." They walked through corridors lined with photographs of the company's history, awards, and charitable initiatives. Amara noticed Chike's photograph prominently displayed, labeled as CEO and founder. Founder. So he had built this empire from nothing in just 7 years. While she had been struggling to survive, raising their daughter alone, he had been building a fortune. Chinwe led her into a small office and gestured for her to sit. The older woman settled behind her desk and opened the envelope containing Amara's application. She studied it quietly for a long moment, and Amara felt her heart sinking. Her qualifications were thin. She had never finished secondary school because her father died, and her mother needed help supporting the family. She had no university degree, no professional training, just years of random jobs trying to make ends meet. "I see you're applying for the cleaning staff position," Chinwe said finally. "Yes, Ma. Any position. I'm a hard worker. I promise you won't regret hiring me." Chinwe looked at her with those kind eyes. "Where are you from, Amara?" "I grew up in Surulere, Ma, but now I live in Ayagunle." "And family?" Amara hesitated. "I have a daughter. She's 7, just the 2 of us." Chinwe nodded slowly, as if understanding far more than Amara had said. "The CEO has reviewed your application personally. He's asked to see you in his office." Amara's blood turned to ice. "What? Why?" "I don't know. He doesn't usually interview cleaning staff candidates himself, but he was very specific. He wants to see you immediately." This was it. This was where Chike would have his revenge, where he would humiliate her, remind her of how far she had fallen while he had risen. Amara wanted to refuse, to walk out with whatever dignity she had left, but she thought of Zainab, of the landlord who was threatening to evict them, of the empty cupboards at home. "Okay," she whispered, "I'll see him." Chinwe led her to an elevator that opened onto the top floor. The executive level was even more impressive than the lobby, all dark wood and expensive art. They stopped at massive double doors. Chinwe knocked once, then opened them. "Mr. Okafor, your appointment is here." Chike sat behind an enormous desk, backlit by floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lagos. He looked up from his computer, and for a split second, Amara saw emotion flash across his face, but it was gone so quickly she might have imagined it. "Thank you, Chinwe. Please close the door. I need to speak with Miss Okoli privately." Chinwe glanced between them, sensing something but saying nothing. She left and the door clicked shut with a sound like a prison cell locking. Amara stood in the middle of the vast office, refusing to sit even when Chike gestured to the chair across from his desk. They stared at each other across the years and the distance, across all the pain and unanswered questions. Finally, Chike spoke, and his voice was cold enough to freeze water. "So you found me." Before Amara could respond, before she could tell him she hadn't been looking, that this was pure cruel coincidence, the door burst open. A stunning woman in a designer suit strode in, her heels clicking authoritatively on the hardwood floor. She walked straight to Chike and kissed him possessively on the cheek. "Darling, your mother just called about the wedding plans. She wants to—" The woman finally noticed Amara. "Oh, who's this?" Chike's jaw tightened. "This is nobody, just an applicant. We're done here." But the woman's eyes narrowed, studying Amara with sudden recognition. "Wait, you look familiar. Have we met before?" Amara's world was spinning, but she forced herself to speak, to reclaim some piece of her dignity. "No, we've never met. But I know exactly who you are." The woman's perfectly shaped eyebrows rose. "Really? And who am I?" Amara's voice was steady when she answered, even though inside she was screaming. "You're the reason my husband abandoned me 7 years ago. You're the woman he was having an affair with." What happens next will shock you to your core. But before we continue, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Are you Team Amara, or do you think there's more to this story? And if you're loving this drama, smash that like button and share this video with someone who needs to hear this story. Hit subscribe because next is going to reveal secrets that will blow your mind. The woman's face went pale, then flushed red with anger. She turned to Chike, her voice sharp as broken glass. "What is she talking about? Chike, who is this woman?" Chike stood up from his desk, his hands raised in a calming gesture. But Amara could see panic flickering in his eyes. "Adana, please, let me explain. This isn't what you think." "Then what is it?" Adana's voice rose, her composure cracking. "Because she just said you abandoned her 7 years ago. She said you were married to her." Amara felt a bitter laugh escape her throat. It wasn't funny. None of this was funny, but the absurdity of the moment was overwhelming. "Were? We are still married, Chike. Or did you forget that you never actually divorced me? You just disappeared." The color drained from Chike's face completely. Adana stepped back as if she'd been slapped, her hand flying to her mouth. The massive diamond ring on her finger caught the light, sending rainbow prisms dancing across the office walls. "You're married," Adana whispered. "Chike, you told me you'd never been married. You said I would be your first wife. We're getting married in 3 months. The invitations are already printed." Chike moved toward Adana, but she held up her hand, stopping him. Her eyes, which had been soft with love moments ago, now blazed with fury and betrayal. "Don't! Don't you dare touch me right now. Adana, I can explain everything. Just give me a chance." "A chance? You've had 7 years to tell me the truth." Adana's voice cracked, tears streaming down her perfectly made-up face. She looked at Amara with a mixture of anger and something else. Something that looked like understanding, like recognition of shared pain. "Did he leave you for me? Is that what happened?" Amara nodded slowly. "I was 4 months pregnant. He came home one night, said he couldn't do it anymore, and walked out. I never saw him again until today." "Pregnant," Adana repeated, her voice hollow. She looked at Chike with disgust. "You have a child?" "Adana, please, let's discuss this privately," Chike pleaded, but his voice sounded weak, desperate. "Answer me. Do you have a child?" Chike's shoulders sagged. "Yes, a daughter. But I didn't know for sure. Amara, I swear I didn't know." Amara felt rage explode in her chest. "You didn't know? I called your phone 100 times before you changed your number. I went to your family's house. Your mother told me you wanted nothing to do with me or the baby, that I was a gold digger trying to trap you." "My mother said that?" For the first time, Chike looked genuinely shocked. "Don't pretend you didn't know. Don't you dare stand there and act innocent." Adana was backing toward the door, shaking her head, her hand clutching the diamond pendant at her throat. "I can't believe this. I can't believe any of this. My father warned me about you, Chike. He said you appeared out of nowhere with money and no past, but I defended you. I told him you were a good man, a self-made man who just wanted privacy about his humble beginnings. She laughed bitterly. Humble beginnings? Is that what you call abandoning your pregnant wife? Adana, wait, please. Chike moved toward her, but she was already opening the door. Don't follow me, don't call me, don't come to my house. She pointed at Amara without looking at her. Give her whatever she wants, money, a job, whatever. Because if she decides to go public with this, your reputation will be destroyed, and so will your precious company. With that, she stormed out, the door slamming behind her with a force that made the expensive artwork on the walls tremble. Silence filled the office. Amara stood frozen, watching Chike as he braced himself against his desk, his head bowed. Part of her felt a savage satisfaction seeing him in pain. But another part, the part that had once loved this man, felt nothing but emptiness. Why? She finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Why did you leave us? Chike was quiet for a long moment. When he finally looked up, his eyes were red. I met Adana when I was driving for her father, Chief Obi, one of the richest men in Nigeria. She was kind to me when no one else in that house treated me like a human being. We became friends, then more than friends. She believed in me. She saw potential in me that I didn't see in myself. And I didn't? Amara's voice broke. I worked double shifts to support your night classes. I believed in your dreams. I loved you. I know, but Adana could actually help me achieve those dreams. Her father offered to invest in me, to mentor me, to open doors that would have stayed closed forever. But there was a condition. Chike's voice dropped. I had to leave you. Chief Obi said he would never allow his daughter to be with a married man, and if I wanted his support, I had to cut all ties with my past. Amara felt sick. So you chose money over your family. I chose survival. I chose a future. Chike's voice rose defensively. We were living in poverty, Amara. One room for both of us, struggling every single day. I saw a chance to become something more than a poor driver struggling to make ends meet, and I took it. We could have built that future together. No, we couldn't have. Not in a million years. Chief Obi's investment, his connections, his guidance, that's what built this company. Without him, I would still be driving some rich person's car, coming home to you exhausted and poor, and our daughter would be growing up in the same poverty we grew up in. Our daughter grew up in poverty anyway, Amara shouted, except she grew up without a father. Do you know how many nights Zainab cried asking why her daddy didn't love her? Do you know how many times I've gone to bed hungry so she could eat? Do you have any idea what these 7 years have been like? Chike flinched at their daughter's name. Zainab, he repeated softly. Yes, Zainab. She's 7 years old. She's brilliant and beautiful, and she looks exactly like you. And she deserves better than a father who abandoned her before she was even born. Chike walked to the window, his back to Amara. The silence stretched between them, filled with 7 years of pain and regret and questions that could never be fully answered. When he finally spoke, his voice was different, softer, filled with something that might have been genuine remorse. What do you want, Amara? Money? A house? A car? Name it, and it's yours. Amara had dreamed of this moment, imagined what she would say if she ever saw Chike again. She had imagined screaming at him, demanding explanations, making him pay for every tear she'd cried. But now, standing in his expensive office, looking at the man he had become, she realized something important. She didn't want his guilt money. She didn't want his pity. She wanted something much more valuable. I want a job, she said firmly. Not as a cleaner, a real job with a real salary. I want to work in your company and prove that I'm worth something, that I'm more than the poor wife you left behind. And I want you to meet your daughter. Chike turned around, surprise evident on his face. That's all? You're not going to demand a fortune? Threaten to expose me? I'm not like you, Chike. I don't destroy people for personal gain. But I do need to survive, and I need to give Zainab a better life. So yes, that's what I want. Can you do that much at least? Before Chike could answer, his desk phone rang. He answered it, his face growing darker with each second. When he hung up, he looked at Amara with an expression she couldn't quite read. That was security. Chief Obi is on his way up. Adana must have called him. He's coming to destroy me, and when he learns about you and Zainab, everything I've built will come crashing down." The door burst open, and a man who could only be Chief Obi strode in, his face a mask of rage. Behind him came three large men in black suits, clearly security. But what made Amara's heart stop was the woman who entered last, her face twisted with vindictive satisfaction. It was Cheek's mother. This drama just reached a whole new level. What do you think Chief Obi is going to do? Can Cheek's empire survive this revelation? Drop your predictions in the comments below. And if you're as hooked as I am, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss next. Share this video with your friends because they need to see how this unfolds. The next chapter is going to be explosive. Chief Obi was a man who commanded attention without saying a word. Tall, broad-shouldered, with silver hair and eyes that seemed to see through lies and deception, he radiated power and authority. He stopped in the middle of the office, his gaze moving from Chike to Amara and back again. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. "So it's true," Chief Obi said, his voice deep and controlled, though fury simmered beneath the surface. "My daughter comes home in tears, telling me that the man I've invested millions in, the man I trusted with my business connections, the man I was about to welcome into my family, has been lying to us for 7 years. Chief, I can explain," Cheek started, but Chief Obi held up one hand, silencing him instantly. "You will speak when I give you permission." He turned his attention to Amara, and his expression softened slightly. "Young woman, are you the wife?" Amara lifted her chin, refusing to be intimidated despite her worn dress and humble appearance. "Yes, sir. My name is Amara Okoli. Legally, I am still Mrs. Amara Okafor, though my husband abandoned that name along with his family." Chief Obi nodded slowly, a hint of respect flickering in his eyes. "And you have a child?" "A daughter, Zainab. She's 7 years old." "Does she know about her father?" "She knows he exists. She doesn't know he's a wealthy man who could have helped us all these years while we struggled to survive." Cheek's mother stepped forward, her face twisted with anger. She was a small woman, but her voice was sharp and cutting. "This girl is a liar. She's a gold digger who trapped my son with a pregnancy, and when he tried to make something of himself, she tried to drag him back down into poverty." Amara felt rage boiling in her chest, but before she could respond, Chief Obi spoke, his voice like thunder. "Madam, I did not give you permission to speak either. Sit down." Cheek's mother looked shocked, but she obeyed, sinking into one of the leather chairs with a huff of indignation. Chief Obi walked slowly around the office, his hands clasped behind his back. 7 years ago, Cheek, you came to me with a business proposal. You were humble, intelligent, hardworking. You told me you had no family, that you were alone in the world, that all you wanted was a chance to prove yourself. I believed you. I invested my money, my time, and my connections. I opened doors that most men would kill to access. And now I discover it was all built on lies. Chief, please let me explain what happened," Chike pleaded, desperation clear in his voice. "Oh, I know what happened. You were a married man with a pregnant wife, living in poverty. You met my daughter, saw an opportunity to escape your circumstances, and you took it. You abandoned your family and built an empire on the foundation of my trust, which you obtained through deception. I didn't deceive you about my abilities or my business skills. Everything I've accomplished, I've earned through hard work. Hard work funded by my money." Chief Obi's voice rose for the first time. "Money I gave you because I thought you were an honest man. Money I invested because I believed you would one day be my son-in-law, a man worthy of my daughter. Instead, you've made a fool of me and broken my daughter's heart." Amara watched this exchange, feeling strangely detached from the drama unfolding around her. These powerful men were arguing about money and reputation, while she had spent 7 years just trying to keep her daughter fed and clothed. Their problems seemed almost trivial compared to the daily struggles she had endured. Chief Obi turned to his security men. "Gentlemen, please escort Mrs. Okafor and this other woman out. I need to speak with Chike privately about the consequences of his deception." But as the security men moved toward Amara, she held up her hand. "Wait. Before I go, I need to say something." She looked directly at Chief Obi. "Sir, I didn't come here to destroy anyone. I came here looking for a job, any job, because my daughter needs to eat, and I need to pay rent. I had no idea Chike worked here until I saw him in the lobby. This is not some revenge scheme or blackmail attempt. This is just a woman trying to survive. Chief Obi studied her face for a long moment. What do you want, Mrs. Okafor? I want what any mother wants. A chance to provide for my child. A chance to work with dignity. I don't want charity and I don't want to ruin anyone's life. I just want the opportunity to earn a decent living. And what about your husband's betrayal? You're not angry? You don't want revenge? Amara smiled sadly. I've been angry for 7 years, sir. I've spent so many nights consumed by rage and hurt that I thought it would destroy me. But anger doesn't pay rent. It doesn't put food on the table. It doesn't help my daughter with her homework. So I've learned to let it go, not because Chike deserves forgiveness, but because I deserve peace. The office was silent. Even Chike's mother had stopped her muttering. Chief Obi's stern expression softened slightly, and he nodded with something that looked like approval. You're a strong woman, Mrs. Okafor. Stronger than most people I know. He turned back to Chike. You abandoned a woman of character and integrity for my daughter, who, as much as I love her, has never known a day of real struggle in her life. You're a fool, Chike. Chike's face was pale. Chief, please, I know I made mistakes, but mistakes? Chief Obi's voice was ice. Abandoning your pregnant wife is not a mistake. It's a choice. A cruel, selfish choice. He pulled out his phone and made a call. David, I need you to prepare documents. I'm withdrawing my investment from Okafor Industries. Effective immediately, all of it. Yes, every naira. Send the papers to my office tonight. No! Chike stumbled forward. Chief, please, you can't do this. The company will collapse. Everything will be destroyed. Everything already is destroyed, Chike. Your engagement to my daughter is over. My business relationship with you is over. And I'm going to make sure every person in Lagos's business community knows exactly who you are and what you did. Chike fell to his knees, actually fell to his knees, his hands clasped in supplication. Please, Chief, I'll do anything. I'll give Amara whatever she wants. I'll acknowledge my daughter. Just please don't destroy my company. It's all I have. It's all you have because you threw away everything else, Chief Obi said coldly. He turned to leave, but Amara's voice stopped him. Sir, wait. Everyone looked at her in surprise. She took a deep breath, her heart pounding. Don't destroy the company. Chief Obi's eyebrows rose. Excuse me? If you withdraw your investment, thousands of people will lose their jobs. People who did nothing wrong, who are just trying to feed their families like I am. And yes, Chike hurt me, but destroying his company won't heal that hurt. It will just create more suffering. Are you defending him? Chief Obi asked, incredulous. No, sir. I'm defending innocent people who will suffer for his mistakes. But I do have a proposal, if you're willing to hear it. Chief Obi gestured for her to continue, his expression curious. Amara looked at Chike, still on his knees, and then back at Chief Obi. Don't withdraw your investment, sir. Instead, use your power to do something good. Restructure the company. Put conditions on Chike's leadership. Make him set up a proper child support arrangement for Zainab, not as charity, but as his legal and moral obligation. Create a foundation or program within the company that helps single mothers, women like me, who are struggling to survive. Turn this situation into something that actually helps people instead of just punishing one man. The office was absolutely silent. Even Chike's mother sat frozen, her mouth hanging open. Chief Obi stared at Amara as if seeing her for the first time. Finally, he began to laugh, a deep, genuine laugh that seemed to surprise even him. You're remarkable, Mrs. Okafor. Absolutely remarkable. You could have used this moment to take revenge, to watch your ex-husband lose everything, and instead you're thinking about other people. He turned to Chike, who was still kneeling. You're a bigger fool than I thought. You gave up a diamond for fool's gold. Chief Obi walked over to Amara and extended his hand. She shook it, feeling the strength and warmth in his grip. I'll consider your proposal, Mrs. Okafor. In fact, I'll do better than that. My own company has a position opening in our community development department. It requires someone with compassion, integrity, and real-world experience with hardship. Someone exactly like you. The salary is 3 times what a cleaning position pays. Are you interested? Amara felt tears pricking her eyes. Yes, sir. Very much. Yes. Good. Report to my office tomorrow morning at 8. We'll discuss details. He looked at Chike one more time, his expression hard. As for you, we'll be having a very different conversation about restructuring your company and your responsibilities to your daughter. Your easy life is over, Chike. It's time you learned what it means to be accountable. As Chief Obi and his security team left, followed by Chike's mother who was protesting loudly, Amara and Chike were alone again. He slowly got to his feet, his expensive suit wrinkled, his face haggard. Why did you do that? He asked quietly. Why did you save my company? Amara looked at him, this man she had once loved, and felt nothing but pity. I didn't do it for you, Chike. I did it because it was the right thing to do. Maybe one day you'll understand the difference. She turned to leave, but Chike's voice stopped her. Amara, wait. I know I don't deserve to ask, but can I meet her? Can I meet Zainab? Amara paused at the door, her hand on the handle. Without turning around, she said, That's not my decision alone anymore. It's hers too. When she's ready, if she wants to meet you, I'll let you know. But Chike, don't expect her to fix what's broken in you. Don't expect her forgiveness to erase your guilt. She's a child, not your redemption. With that, Amara walked out of the office, her head held high. She had come looking for a cleaning job and found so much more. She had faced her past, confronted her pain, and somehow emerged stronger than she had been before. What a powerful moment. Can you believe Amara's grace and strength in that situation? What would you have done if you were in her position? Would you have saved Chike's company or let it fall? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And please tell us where you're watching from. We love hearing from our viewers around the world. Don't forget to like this video and share it with someone who needs to see this incredible story of resilience and dignity. Hit that subscribe button because next is going to wrap up this amazing journey in a way you won't expect. 3 months had passed since that confrontation in Chike's office, and Amara's life had transformed in ways she had never imagined possible. She sat at her new desk in Chief Obi's company headquarters, reviewing proposals for a women's empowerment initiative she had designed herself. The office wasn't large or fancy, but it had a window with a view of the city, a computer that actually worked, and most importantly, it represented dignity and purpose. Her salary had allowed her to move Zainab out of their cramped room in Ajigunle to a modest 2-bedroom apartment in a safer neighborhood. Zainab now attended a better school where she was thriving, making friends, and participating in extracurricular activities Amara could never have afforded before. Every morning when Amara dropped her daughter at school and saw the joy on Zainab's face, she felt a gratitude so deep it sometimes brought tears to her eyes. Chief Obi had been true to his word in every way. He had restructured Chike's company, installing independent board members and strict oversight. A foundation had been established, the Zainab Foundation, named at Amara's request after her daughter, which provided job training, childcare assistance, and microloans to single mothers across Lagos. Chike was required to fund it personally, and though Amara knew he resented the obligation, he complied. He had no choice if he wanted to keep his company. As for child support, a legal arrangement had been established. Every month, a significant sum was deposited into an account for Zainab's care and education. Amara used it carefully, saving most of it for Zainab's future university expenses, using only what was necessary for immediate needs. She had also insisted on one condition that surprised everyone. Half of the child support payments were to be donated to the Zainab Foundation. She wanted other struggling mothers to benefit from Chike's wealth, not just herself. A knock on her office door pulled Amara from her thoughts. Her assistant, a bright young woman named Ngozi, poked her head in. Ma, you have a visitor. She says it's personal. Before Amara could respond, Adana stepped into the office. She looked different from the polished, perfect woman Amara had met 3 months ago. She wore simple jeans and a blouse, minimal makeup, and her hair was pulled back in a natural style, but it was her eyes that had changed most. They held a depth and understanding that hadn't been there before. I hope I'm not intruding, Adana said softly. I asked your assistant not to announce me because I wasn't sure you'd agree to see me. Amara gestured to the chair across from her desk. Please sit. Can I get you anything? Water? Tea? No, thank you. I won't take much of your time. Adana sat down, her hands folded in her lap. I wanted to come see you before I leave Lagos. You're leaving? Adana nodded. I'm moving to London. I've accepted a position with an international development organization. I need a fresh start. Away from here, away from all the memories and the gossip. I'm sorry things turned out the way they did, Amara said, and she meant it. Despite everything, she had never wanted to hurt Adana. Don't be sorry. You saved me from making the biggest mistake of my life. Adana's voice was firm. If you hadn't shown up that day, I would have married Chike. I would have spent my life with a man who was capable of abandoning his pregnant wife. A man who built his entire life on lies. She paused, her eyes glistening. My father was right about him, but I was too in love to see it. Love makes us blind sometimes, Amara said gently. It does. But you know what I realized over these past few months? I never really loved Chike. I loved the idea of him, the self-made man, the rags to riches story, the romance of it all. But I didn't know who he really was. Adana leaned forward. You knew him, the real him, and he still betrayed you. I can't imagine how that must have felt. Amara was quiet for a moment, choosing her words carefully. It felt like dying without actually dying, like walking through every day with a wound that wouldn't heal. But eventually I realized something. His betrayal said everything about who he was and nothing about who I was. I didn't fail. He did. That's wisdom I'm still trying to learn. Adana reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. I wanted to give you this. It's a donation to the Zainab Foundation, in your daughter's name. It's not much, just 100,000 naira, but I wanted to contribute to the good work you're doing. Amara took the envelope, touched by the gesture. Thank you, Adana. This will help so many women. I also wanted to apologize. Adana's voice cracked slightly. I knew Chike was with someone when we first got together. He told me it wasn't serious, that it was over, but I knew he was lying. I chose to believe him because I wanted to. I'm not responsible for his choices, but I am responsible for mine, and I chose to look the other way. For that, I'm truly sorry. Amara felt a weight she didn't know she was carrying lift from her shoulders. Thank you for saying that. I forgive you, Adana. We were both deceived by the same man. The two women sat in comfortable silence for a moment, two people who had been on opposite sides of a painful story, finding unexpected common ground. Have you let him meet Zainab yet? Adana asked. Amara shook her head. Not yet. I've told Zainab about him, that he's her father, that he wants to meet her, but I've left the choice up to her. She's not ready yet, and I won't push her. You're a good mother. Zainab is lucky to have you. I'm the lucky one. She's the reason I survived all of this. She's the reason I kept going. After Adana left, Amara sat at her desk thinking about forgiveness, about healing, about how the worst moments in life can sometimes lead to unexpected blessings. Her phone buzzed with a text message from Zainab's school. It was a photo of her daughter receiving an award for academic excellence, her bright smile lighting up the image. Amara saved the photo, her heart full. That evening, Amara and Zainab sat on their small balcony, eating jollof rice and chicken, watching the Lagos sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and purple. It wasn't a fancy view, not like the one from Chike's office, but it was theirs, earned through hard work and perseverance. Mama, Zainab said suddenly, I've been thinking about my father. Amara's heart skipped a beat. What about him? I think I'm ready to meet him, but I have conditions. Amara smiled. Her daughter was so smart, so strong. What conditions? He has to understand that you're my hero, not him. He has to know that he can't just walk into my life and pretend the past didn't happen. And he has to promise to never hurt you again. Amara pulled her daughter close, kissing the top of her head. Those are very good conditions, my love. I'll let him know. Do you think he'll agree? I don't know, but if he wants to be part of your life, he'll have to. You deserve a father who respects you and respects me. Will you be there when I meet him? Every step of the way, always. 2 weeks later, Amara, Zainab, and Chike met at a neutral location, a quiet park with a playground and benches under the shade of mango trees. Chike arrived early, dressed casually in jeans and a simple shirt, looking nervous in a way Amara had never seen before. When he saw Zainab, his eyes filled with tears. "She looks just like my sister," he whispered to Amara. "Same eyes, same smile." "She looks like herself," Amara corrected gently. "She's her own person, Chike. Remember that." The meeting was awkward at first. Zainab was polite but distant, answering Chike's questions with yes or no, studying him with the same careful intelligence she applied to her schoolwork. But gradually, as Chike talked about his own childhood, about growing up poor, about his dreams and fears, something shifted. Zainab began to open up, telling him about school, about her friends, about wanting to be a doctor someday. Amara watched from a nearby bench, close enough to intervene if needed, but far enough to give them space. She saw Chike laugh at something Zainab said, saw her daughter's careful smile in response. It wasn't forgiveness yet, and it might never be complete reconciliation, but it was a start, and sometimes a start was all you needed. As the sun began to set and it was time to leave, Zainab turned to Chike and said, "You can see me again if you want, but you have to keep showing up. I don't want a sometimes father. I want a real one, or nothing at all." Chike nodded, his voice thick with emotion. "I'll show up, I promise. Every week if you'll let me." "We'll see," Zainab said, sounding wise beyond her 7 years. "Promises are easy, actions are hard." In the car on the way home, Zainab was quiet. Amara glanced at her daughter in the rearview mirror. "Are you okay, sweetheart?" "I think so. Mama, do you think people can really change?" Amara thought about this carefully. "I think people can change their actions. Whether their hearts change too, only time will tell." "That's what I thought," Zainab said, looking out the window at the passing city lights. 6 months later, Amara stood on a stage at a women's empowerment conference, sharing her story with hundreds of women who had faced their own struggles and hardships. She talked about poverty, about betrayal, about single motherhood, about dignity and resilience. She talked about the moment she walked into that gleaming lobby, looking for a cleaning job, and came face to face with her past. "I could have let bitterness destroy me," she told the audience. "I could have spent my energy on revenge. But instead, I chose to focus on building a future for my daughter and for myself. I chose to turn my pain into purpose. And that choice, that simple choice to keep moving forward with grace and dignity, changed everything." The audience erupted in applause. In the front row sat Chief Obi and his wife, both smiling with pride. A few rows back, she spotted Adana, who had flown in from London specifically for this event. And in the very back, trying to be inconspicuous, was Chike holding Zainab's hand. He had been showing up just as he promised, slowly building a relationship with his daughter. It would never erase what he had done, but it was something. After the conference, as people crowded around Amara to thank her and share their own stories, she felt a deep sense of peace. She had come so far from that desperate woman who had walked into Okafor Industries 3 months ago. She had faced her past, confronted her pain, and emerged stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. That night, after tucking Zainab into bed in their comfortable apartment, Amara stood by the window looking out at Lagos, this massive, chaotic, beautiful city that had witnessed her lowest moments and her greatest triumphs. She thought about the journey, about how sometimes life takes you through darkness to lead you to light, about how the worst day of your life can become the catalyst for your greatest transformation. Her phone buzzed with a message from Chief Obi. "Congratulations on today's success. The board has approved your proposal for expanding the foundation to 5 more states. You're changing lives, Amara. Keep going." She smiled, typing back a simple "thank you." Then she opened her journal and wrote the words that had become her daily affirmation. "I am not defined by what was done to me. I am defined by what I chose to do next." And in that moment, Amara Okoli, the homeless woman who had walked into a building looking for any job she could get, the abandoned wife who had faced unimaginable hardship, the single mother who had fought for every scrap of dignity, knew without a doubt that she had not just survived. She had triumphed. What an incredible journey. Amara's story shows us that our circumstances don't define us. Our choices do. If this story touched your heart, inspired you, or made you think differently about forgiveness and resilience, please hit that like button and share this video with everyone you know. Subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications because we have more powerful, inspiring stories coming your way. Drop a comment telling us what you learned from Amara's story. What would you have done differently? How has this story inspired you? We read every single comment, and your stories matter to us. Thank you for watching, and remember, no matter what you're going through, your story isn't over yet. Keep going, keep believing, and keep choosing grace over bitterness. See you in the next story.